What is up, Gamer Army? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Psycho Gamer. I'm your host, Aubrey, and today, oh my god, we have so much stuff to talk about. Now, this is probably going to be a little bit longer video because we have a lot of things that got leaked today by Gamefly, and yes, I am not joking. When I mean there's a lot of stuff, I mean there's a lot of stuff. There's probably about a good 20, 30 things here that we're going to go ahead and talk about in terms of leaked games, pricing, release. Are these going to come out? I guess that's one of the big questions we really have to look at. But before we go into that video, you know what time it is. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe and turn on those post notifications so you know exactly when more content like this is going to come out. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff right after this. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back once again, guys. Like I said, we have a lot of content that we are going to go over here today. We're going to take a look at a list that I've got here, basically of all the different games that were actually leaked today, accidentally. And then we're going to talk about some pictures and some comparisons and why things are the way they are when it comes to. Do we have lists of all the games for each of these cabinets? No, we don't. We just basically have names of these cabinets that are coming out. Now, where is this leak originating from? It is originating from Gamefly. If you are not familiar with Gamefly, Gamefly was and is a video game rental online location. Basically, you pay a flat rate and you can rent a game for as long as you want to. When it first came out, they were only doing individual rentals, which wasn't too bad, but when they went to the subscription type system, it actually worked out really well for them. So if you wanted to rent a game, cool, keep it as long as you want to, as long as you have that subscription. If you wanted to buy it, then you could just go online and pay for it, and I think they would send you like the box art and stuff. Next to that, they just basically send it to you in a little small envelope sleeve, like a little CD, DVD sleeve, and then you send it back whenever you're done if you didn't want to buy the game, which it worked out really good for a lot of people because not everybody has, you know, $50, $60 to buy each and every individual game that they possibly wanted to. That's why so many things like Xbox Live and PlayStation Plus are doing so well, because they are giving free games out to people. Now, PlayStation Now, and then you have the newer Xbox program going on where you can pay 15, 20 bucks a month. You essentially get Xbox Live Gold for Xbox, and you can basically play a majority of these games for free, but you're not having to wait for it to come in the mail. Now, they did a boo-boo. It was a big boo-boo where they showed off about 20, 30 things in terms of games and particular accessories, their dates, their names, and their price points, essentially up until about the end of the year this year. So I'm thinking somebody over Arcade1up is going to be a little bit heated. Hopefully not John D, because, well, it doesn't matter. He generally just smiles these days instead of leaking things out. So short leash, I think, right now for Arcade1up with him, but that's okay. You know, he still goes out there and kills it. Last time we really saw him had to do with that NBA Jam Shaq XL version that they're going to have. Still looks nice. Might be a little overpriced at $700, but I don't know. We'll see how that plays out when it comes out. But we're going to switch over into my computer. We're going to take a look at this list that was made. Now, first off, before I do that, I just want to let you know I cannot get the actual website up and running with all these games, because when I was looking at the site earlier, they started deleting all these games off or making them invisible for everybody to see. There are still a couple things on there, but they're pretty much games that we already knew were coming out. So that's a sad thing, but it's okay. So we're going to go ahead and switch over right on now. All right, so what you are looking at right now is the list of games, the prices, and the release dates of these particular cabinets. Now, are these ones that are actually going to come out? We'll definitely see. Now, first ones you're seeing are Miss Pac-Man Partycade and the Super Pac-Man Partycade. Those are a couple of the cabinets that have that wood grain type finish. Now, these games do have a release date on the 1st. I'm not sure if they actually did come out, but their website really didn't give that much information until you kind of switch over here. So brown box, but when you click on it, it says notify when available, sold out. So I don't think it has actually come out yet when it comes to those two particular partycades there. So Super Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man right there. Now you'll notice there's a couple other games here that not everybody's like knows about. They're like, what the heck are all those things? So partycades are always great to have. They don't take up that much room. You can get partycades online, no problem. In some cases, you can actually go right to a local Walmart, which I've actually seen them starting to get sold at Walmart physically in the store where you can walk out with the Miss Pac-Man just in general. So a couple of the things that you're going to see on here that we have never really heard anything on are the Couchcades. So you have the Atari Couchcade. You also have the Pac-Man Couchcade. Those are a couple of new things that are coming out that have never been seen before. What does that mean? Well, it means they've never been seen before. There's really not much information on them. Now, there are pictures that somebody ended up finding online that makes them look kind of cool. Now, would it be cool for every single person that really loves arcade cabinets? Probably not, because a lot of us would prefer to have the actual cabinets themselves. Whether it's the full size, whether it's the 3/4 size, it doesn't really matter. That gives us the feeling of having our own home personal arcade, which many of us really do. And I'm going to show you some pictures of these right now. So this is one of the pictures they have of the Atari one. And it does look like it's actually going to be wireless to connect to the televisions. So you look at this one has 10 games on now. I don't know if that's all the games that are going to be, but you got 10 actual games that you can really choose from in terms of this particular title. Now, this is the Atari one. You look at the buttons there, you got your basic black buttons. I guess because they have so many different kinds of games out there to really choose from and different gameplay styles. That's the side of the Atari one. It actually looks kind of cool. You can definitely tell it's a render, though. It's not an actual picture. You actually have the Miss Pac-Man, or I'm sorry, not Miss Pac-Man, the regular Pac-Man one, which I actually really like this one. I actually like the art, the way it is on the side. They're looking like you're in the middle of an actual game. Got the red trim. And this is the front of the Pac-Man one. I mean, you can definitely tell there's not going to be too many games in there with that's going to take, many buttons to really play. You got your 1-player start, 2-player starts, and then you have your 3 buttons. Could be for firing or jumping or, any of those other ones. You got your on off and you have your volume control. So 4-way directional joystick. So there's probably not going to be any newer games on there. Most of them are probably going to be old. So you also have all of your different buttons, and you also have your spinner right there for games that would definitely require it. So just has your left and right. Maybe have a little bit of Pong on there. Who knows? Most likely that's what it's going to be. But they have pictures on here too still. So Pac-Man, Pac-Mania, Mappy, Rally X, Rolling Thunder, Galaga, Galaxian, Galaga 88, Dig Dug 1 and 2. So again, this may or may not be the entire selection for the actual Pac-Man Couchcade. I think it's a really cool concept. It's a really good idea. People can sit on their couch and play this. Now, how is that different from playing with a PlayStation or an Xbox? Well, for one, you'll probably be able to actually find these by Christmas as opposed to still hunting to buy it from a scalper. Xbox Series X's, you can actually start to get those kind of in the stores. I work in a big box retail store that has a big blue sign with a little yellow tag on it, and we've been getting Xbox Series X's. So we had them in stock for many, many days. So I think those are going to be a little easier to find, more so than the PlayStations are going to be. So scalpers beware. That's all I can really tell you. Back to the list, though. Next game, you get your Golden T19. Arcade. I guess it's supposed to be for Arcade1up. $6.99. Now, these 3 titles are coming out according to this website, April 15th. So that's probably why those are still sitting pretty, as well as this Centipede arcade one, sitting pretty over on their website still. So you can see you got the Centipede Atari Legacy, the Couchcade Golden Tee 3D, and you have the Pac-Man Couchcade, plus these other two that you have for the Miss Pac-Man Partycade and the Super Pac-Man Partycade. And that, I think that's going to do it for the website there, other than showing one of the stools that they actually have here. So Centipede Atari Legacy Arcade 1-Up, that was announced a little while ago. So that one's really not something that's a very big, shocking, and surprising title. Now that one is going at $499.99, coming out June 15th, 2022, along with the Pac-Mania Bandai Legacy cabinet as well. So Pac-Mania, the cabinets look really nice. They're very bright and vibrant when it comes to those. So I don't think this is going to be something that's going to make you feel sad for buying because it's $500. Now, there's a couple of other cabinets here that we've never heard of. They are the Collectorcades. Now, there's 3 different ones that I'm seeing on this list. You have the Joust Collectorcade, you have the Mortal Kombat Collectorcade, and then you have the Pac-Man Collectorcade. I know, big shock, another Pac-Man game. This thing is littered with Pac-Man and Super Pac-Man game, or Super Pac-Man, Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man type cabinets on here. So do not be surprised that they are here. What kind of cabinets are these? Are these, small cabinets? My thought on these particular ones is I think they're probably going to be about the size of these ones by Numbskull over here, the quarter arcades. So you're probably going to look at them being about this size here, maybe even a little bit smaller, to kind of give you the ability to have small arcade type machines in small homes or small apartments, things like that. So I think these would be really, really cool just in general to have, because they don't take up that much room. I could literally buy all these ones here and set them up on my cabinet back there, up on my shelf, and have a full mini arcade. And these are not even that expensive when you actually look at them, if they've even got any of them in stock. I think they go for about $150, something like that, when you actually look at their websites. Look at GameStop when it comes to it. And, well, they don't have them in stock. So, but when you have them in stock, I think they average about $150 when it comes to those. They are actually really cool. I actually like those Numbskull ones. If I had money, I would probably actually go and pick one of these guys up, or pick a few of them up. But we're going back to the list. Mortal Kombat 30th anniversary. Or another anniversary. Sorry, I didn't make this particular list, but Anniversary Edition Legacy. Another $500 cabinet. Mortal Kombat, obviously, we know they just came out with that Mortal Kombat cabinet with Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. So this would be another good title to add to your collection. Granted, if you already have all the Mortal Kombats, this may be a waste of money unless you just really want it. Other things that we're going to find, you have the Mortal Kombat swivel stool, the Pac-Mania swivel stool, Street Fighter swivel stool. You got 3 or 4 different swivel stools on this particular one. And I look at these prices and I'm like, wow, $170. That's ballsy in terms of pricing. But when I first saw this list and saw them talking about it earlier, there was only one stool that I remember seeing that this may actually be. And that's going to be the one over here that comes with the Killer Instinct Pro Series. Now, if you look at it, I believe it's supposed to be a swivel stool, but if you look at this, it's actually got a backing on it. So is that backing and the swivel capability worth an extra, $100 based off of what they're selling the regular stools at? I don't know. I mean, for some people, I don't think it would be. They'd rather get 2 blocks of wood and then a scrub brush and put it on their back as opposed to an extra, $100 just to have a backing or the swivel capabilities on some of these. Even though swiveling, I actually prefer that when it comes to that in these particular stools. So if you don't have a stool, these might be some decent ones that are coming out. Now, most of these ones that you're seeing, Swivel Stools, the Collectorcades, the Mortal Kombats, they are all coming out in July. So July 15th is where you're looking at with this. So this is kind of like your mid-year point with some of these new machines that are coming out. Now you're looking at 8/15, so you're looking at August 15th. You got two titles. You got the NBA Jam Shaq 19-inch arcade edition, and you have a new Street Fighter 2 game. They released a bunch of Street Fighter 2s back in the day. That's no big shock that they are still going to be releasing a couple different ones. This is the Street Fighter 2 Champion Turbo Legacy Edition cabinet. Now, what games could they put on this? They could put a myriad of games out there on these particular cabinets. We're not going to necessarily speculate what titles they're going to put on a lot of these cabinets, because it could be any number of games. I mean, they've got a pretty good list of games that they've released probably 10 times over on many different cabinets. I think the only one that I see that's a little bit different is you got a little mini joust cabinet right here at $100. So not too bad. Now there's a couple other ones here that we're seeing on the list that stand out to me that we haven't really seen before that I know of. Now, Arcade1up Miss Pac-Man head-to-head countercade, and then you have the Pac-Man Galaga head-to-head countercades. Now, I kind of wonder about this. I wonder, how are they going to do this in terms of a head-to-head? Are they going to have it where they're facing each other, just kind of connected? Or are they going to have it maybe flat on a table, kind of like what you would have their actual head-to-head cocktail table type cabinets? Now, the only thing I could think of that might be very similar to that would be the little Pong head-to-head that they've actually released, where it had Pong on both sides. It just kind of sat flat on the table, and you could play against each other like that. But I don't know. It would have to be kind of chunky and a little bit bulky in order for that to work. In my mind, it almost makes me feel like a battleship kind of look, where you have one panel right in the middle, you have a screen on both sides, and then the people can fight left and right. Now, the only reason why I think about that is, it's a $200 cabinet. Countercades are generally averaging about that. But we can only speculate and wonder what the heck they're thinking when it comes to this particular cabinet. Now, on top of that, you have a Miss Pac-Man Legacy cabinet. You also have a Pac-Man 5 games in 1 countercade. So we actually have a bunch of countercades that are coming out at the same time. But a Miss Pac-Man Legacy cabinet, most likely it's going to have a bunch of different Pac-Man games and a bunch of different games from that time period, like your Dig Dug 2, Galaga, things like that. Much like your Pac-Man and Galaga head-to-head countercade is going to have. But Pac-Man 5 games in 1, the regular Pac-Man countercade only has like 3 games. So this is going to be an advancement on what those particular countercades were. We don't know if they're going to have lit marquees or anything like that. I think it would be kind of cool if they had those little small guys with the marquee lighting up. Now here comes the big games, because these games are what everybody was buzzing about. I've been buzzing about these for a very long time. If you look back at any of my videos having to do with games that Arcade1up should release, these are 3 of my top titles on those particular videos. You have Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which apparently in the past is supposed to have been very difficult to do emulation with. The best version of that particular game was the Dreamcast version of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. But the fact that they're able to actually get their hardware advanced enough to actually release this, oh my goodness. That's why I was so excited when I wanted to start making this video. I would have done it sooner and earlier, but unfortunately I was at work and I have my real job where I'm not really making any money doing this, but I enjoy talking about video games like this. So it gets me excited when I start talking about some of these games that we're finally going to see. But you look at the price, it's only $5.99 according to Gamefly. Now, if this is legitimate, if this is real, if they didn't just find something on a website and say, oh, okay, we're going to put it out there. I think because this is a legitimate retailer, this weighs a lot more water than finding it on some Reddit website, unfortunately. 10/15/2022. So we are looking at October 15th. Hopefully. You know how they like to say, oh, it's coming out here, and then push it back to the next year. They're just as bad as Elon Musk with SpaceX. Yes, that was a name drop. Next title, another big title, Time Crisis Arcade, or Time Crisis in general. Time Crisis, as we know, has been in the arcades since like the 90s, since the original Time Crisis came out. They even had the original Time Crisis on, I believe, the original PlayStation. So there's a number of different Time Crisis games out there. I think there's like 5 at least. Now, can their hardware handle something like Time Crisis 4 or 5? I don't know. I guess that remains to be seen, but we know it should be able to handle at least 1 through 3, being as old as those particular titles are. Now, that's coming in at a whopping $799.99, coming out about the same time, October 15th, which is going to be great because that's going to be just in time for a lot of people who are starting to do their Christmas shopping. Now, this next one here, I didn't think that they would get it. I was always hoping that they were going to get it, but because of EA having the licensing rights to NFL in general, I didn't think that Arcade1up would actually get this. Now, again, this is a list off of Gamefly. If you have not been watching up until this point or paying much attention. So, NFL Blitz Arcade. Now, there's about 2 or 3 different NFL Blitz games that they could put out there. Regular NFL Blitz, and I think they had NFL Blitz 99. So, coming in at $599.99, I think for anybody, maybe even those that have their own man cave, they would jump right on this. Now, question is would it be a 2-joystick one, or would they have up to 4 joysticks when it comes to this? And, you know, why not toss some super high impact football on there as well? Because that game was just super fun. I really loved that game back in the day. So, now, a couple of little things we have. If you want to see the legitimate screenshots from the website, somebody posted a few screenshots from there. Now, this is directly from the Gamefly website. And as you can see, you have the NFL Blitz Arcade coming November 15th. Now, when I started looking at the website, NFL Blitz was already gone. They had already removed that off there. I did see that the Time Crisis was on there. I actually physically saw that with my own 2 eyes. You got the Collectorcades, a 5-in-1 Pac-Man. You got your Marvel vs. Capcom 2 arcade. Now this, again, Gamefly. And you have your Couchcade. There's probably supposed to be a little dash in there, but the Couchcades actually look pretty cool, at least in my opinion. You got the Arcade1up Mega Man handheld, which didn't do too good. Those have been out for quite a while. They said release 720. That might have been when they got them. But from what I recall, they came out, I think, about a year before that. So I think it came out in the 2020s, or in 2020 sometime. Golden T19 Arcade, and there is Time Crisis Arcade, October 15th. So, again, these are some amazing titles, and if these hold any weight, if these are legitimate release dates and prices, this is probably one of the biggest leaks that they've actually had in quite a while. What do you guys think? Which of these titles do you think you might be interested in? I know a lot of people are going to be interested in those last 3 titles, but the fact that we have a lot of other classic titles that are going to be in here, I think this really is an amazing list. I mean, the Couchcades, whatever the heck these Collectorcades are going to be, I think they are going to be kind of what I mentioned. I think they're going to be kind of like those numbskull type cabinets there. Not super expensive, not super big. That's why those are only ringing in at about $100. But I think the pricing is probably going to be pretty much on par when it comes to these. Now, one question that I had was on the Golden Tee. Golden Tee 19-inch arcade, it is coming in at $699. We've been seeing the prices, the current prices, at $799.99. Even the Arcade1up website has it at $799.99. My question is this maybe a little bit of a watered down version? Maybe it's just a bigger cabinet and not as much stuff is upgraded on it? That's really the question of the day that we're really not going to have any answers to until this particular cabinet comes out. And it's looking like, you know, that's about the release date that they have for Golden Tee. Now, other people will probably have been asking me, Well, what about Double Dragon? What about Dragon's Lair? Things like that. Why aren't they on the list? Well, I really can't answer that for you. Could be a matter of they weren't on the list that they were given. Maybe they won't have the rights to actually sell those particular games on there. They might be strictly going through the Arcade1up website, at least initially, even though we do know that the Golden Tee is going to be released at other retailers such as Best Buy and GameStop and places like that. So that's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you guys took in all of that information. Like I said, it was a lot of stuff to really go over. So there's so many games that have been leaked. Now, keep in mind, this is an unofficial list. We've had retailers leak lists out before, and they were actually right. Like, especially when it came to that Golden Tee, that wasn't released by Arcade1up online until recently. It wasn't until, it was a couple months back where that list was leaked out by a retailer from the UK with pictures and things like that as well. So a lot of this is kind of on spot on when it comes to these particular releases and cabinets. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that all of these games and accessories are going to come out? Are they going to come out at these prices? Do you think they're going to come out at these particular release dates? I really want to see those last three titles, the NFL Blitz, the Time Crisis, and the Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I just want to see how well the hardware is going to actually be able to handle playing those particular games. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe, guys. Once again, I appreciate all of you coming out and checking out my videos. I know I'm not the only one to do this particular kind of video for these titles, but I figured for my subscribers, for all of you guys and my future subscribers, this might be information you want to get that you may not have known about before. So stay tuned until next time, guys. Game on.